What's up, my derps? It's your boy Greg Lisson. On today's episode of Cast Guidance, we're going to talk about how to engage better with your game. All right, go ahead and add a D4 to your ability check, and let's get better at D&D together. Before we begin, don't forget, roll to hit the subscribe button and an extra attack to the notification bell so you don't miss any awesome content. Engagement at your table can mean a lot of different things. It could be focusing more on the story, or speaking up more, or even being more actively involved outside of the game. Here are 5 ways to be better engaged with your table as a whole. Tip 1. Focus. The age-old adage of focusing at the table is really about engaging with those around you and being present in the moment. Dungeons & Dragons is live storytelling that requires those at the table to be actively involved in the molding of the narrative. So being focused becomes tantamount. There are dozens of videos online scolding people for being on their phones or chatting about out-of-game things during the sessions, and that's because it really is distracting and kind of disrespectful to the DM and other players who are engaged at the table. So how do you get more focused? Well, firstly, limit your distractions. If your inclination is to grab your phone and start surfing the web, leave it at the door or in your car or keep it in the other room. You can't check your socials if your phone's not readily available. The same principle counts for other distractions. Remove or limit the things that easily disturb your focus, and then begin to hone in on what's going on. Try to be more forthcoming with your interactions and be more involved as things are happening in real time. This will hold your focus on the narrative and interactions at your table, which actually leads us into tip 2. Tip 2, interactions. So obviously the problem with engagement is that you're not interacting, but interacting is what will help you be more engaged. It's a bit of an oxymoron. You're the moron! No, seriously, being more open to interacting with the story and other players, pushing through the mud to keep injecting yourself into the narrative is how you're going to stay engaged. There's a balance to be struck, but making parts more about you when you find a moment can really keep you actively interested and openly participating in the game. It seems kind of obvious, and there are a lot of barriers to entry here, but the main objective to maintain engagement is to participate. Now, let's talk about some of those barriers and how to overcome them in our next tip. Tip 3, insecurity. The biggest barrier for most people, I think, is social etiquette and interactions. I've done some videos discussing table etiquette that I'll link above, but the main thing here is to overcome shyness. Firstly, you're part of a team, and every team member holds values. It's important to recognize that everyone at your table wants to participate, and they want you to participate, and they want to give you the space to engage with the game and the story. And quite frankly, if they don't, you should consider finding a new table. At its core, Dungeons & Dragons is intended to be a safe space for people to push through their comfort zones and explore all the facets of their own personal and characters' personalities. It's a game intended to bring fantasy into your reality and do that in a way that enhances your own real-world experiences. You should never be afraid to speak up or to try things, or to feel pressured by your group not to explore something that you want to try. Doing just that will help you be more engaged with the story and your session as a whole. Letting others do that is also important, and that's why it's tip number 4. Tip 4, space and timing. Being better engaged doesn't always mean being the only one talking or interacting with the world your table is building. It also means making room for others to do that. Encouraging and supporting the other PC's exploration and interaction can keep you focused, like in tip 1, by assisting their journeys and listening to their stories. Oftentimes in our campaign, I find myself over-talking about where Griorn is from. Novegawa, by the way, as a bit of a running gag. But I absolutely loved hearing about Barak and Wawatesi's Bloodhand tribe background, and then finally meeting the tribe itself, followed by me making attempts to impress their leader, Dova. They got the room to explore their stories, and I got to engage with it. It was full circle. And by giving them the space to engage with their own backstories, I was more focused on what was going on. I was fully engulfed in the storyline. In fact, it's now an integral part of our group's identity. Heck, Griorn might just soon be inducted into the tribe. Who knows? See, even now I'm engaged just thinking about it. Let's discuss that in tip 5. Tip 5, offline strategies. Something I find our group does quite often is discusses the story in the campaign offline. It's another great way to stay engaged with what's going on. Talking away from the table about what happened during the last session can be really exciting and reinvigorate you to want to participate more in your sessions. Sometimes our group talks about what we're going to do in the next episode. Maybe we devise strategies about how we think the next round of combat's going to go, or maybe we just want to laugh at some of the ridiculous things we did. We even will discuss how cool each other's backgrounds have been, or how we want to dive into something deeper in our next session. All of it becomes preparation for better role-playing within our world. It pushes us to see things from each other's characters' perspectives and continues to keep the story alive in our minds while we're away from the table. DMs are able to keep all of the story alive in their heads out of sheer necessity, but as players, a little bit of time away can be catastrophic to our engagement. So start a Discord chat, or group text, or a Facebook group, or whatever you got, where you and your fellow adventurers can chat it up. It's really that simple. Look, I get it. It's hard to stay engaged all the time, but I hope some of these tips help you maintain your focus and really participate before, during, and after your sessions. Let's quickly recap the top 5 tips on how to engage better with your game. Focus. Remove any and all distractions during your sessions. Interactions. Try to inject yourself more into the story. Insecurity. Remind yourself you belong here and are part of a team. Space and timing. Encourage and give room for your teammates to shine. Offline strategies. Stay actively involved even when not at the table. Keep coming at me with your ideas on how to be better at the table. This is something we're going to grow together. Feel free to message me directly at Greggles Designs on all platforms, or leave a comment below and I'll do my best to respond. As always, don't forget, D&D isn't a game you win. Let's cast guidance on each of our tables to enhance each other's experiences. Thanks, Derps. See you next week with more from me, your boy Greggles. Hey Derps, thanks for watching. We're trying really hard to build this channel up, so if you could give us a subscribe, that would be really helpful and appreciated. This community matters to us, and we want to hear your voice. Let us know what you liked or didn't like, and let's chat in the comments. Also, don't forget to check me out playing D&D on the DD&D show every other Sunday. The link should be somewhere over here, or here, or here. Thanks!